the Apple-1, as I said when I first saw it at the Homebrew Club meeting, was it was the prototype of it. And of course, you know, in my purchase order, I had told Steve Jobs and described it as assembled and tested, not realizing that we had a different idea of what assembled and tested meant. And so consequently, when I got the Apple-1 delivery of the 50 units, they came in a package that I would describe like a pizza box. You know, it was a flat carton, and there was a PC board in there, and that was it.
They sold these very quickly. They made about 200 Apple-1s. Apple later recalled Apple-1s on a trade-in basis. If people wanted to buy an Apple-2, they could trade in their Apple-1. So there are very few Apple-1s in existence in the world today.
When I was a kid, I started thinking about the concept of an IT revolution. I always thought the world would change because of the democratization of information.
Fire, inventing of the wheel, invention of the computer is probably right up there with importance in terms of those other aspects of human civilization.
I like to have an historic record of what happened. I call it the IT revolution. One day, a friend sent me a message telling me that at Christie's in London, they were going to auction an Apple-1. So we bought it. And we were the first in the world to purchase a machine which apparently was, and actually is, completely useless, and that hadn't been switched back on for many, many years. So we had to figure out how it could be done. So we set up a small team and created what is known as know-how.
I believe that having an open tab to carry out this task on this machine and others from the same time is an excellent thing.
It certainly is more practical than carrying around the equipment necessary to go and repair a machine of this kind.
To date, we have brought back online and restored 4 Apple-1s, so maybe we can think of ourselves as one of the best teams to carry out this kind of operation.
As it all happened, we can consider Marco Baglioni a pioneer, because he saw the purchase of this machine as an extraordinary opportunity, and many followed in his steps. We also believed in the project, and we are 2 companies based in Torino. And by combining our skills, we have established a small island of competence. Our company has always dealt in collectibles and marketed them. There's a limited number of items, we know how many were built, and they can only be marketed in numbers inferior to those originally built. Above all, our potential market is the entire world.
We now are lucky enough to have in our lab an Apple-1 from Silicon Valley. I worked in California for 7 months in the Silicon Valley, collaborated with the Computer History Museum, and met a collector at a festival devoted to retro computing. And it came out he had in his collection an Apple-1 and would have liked to restore it to make it work again.
If we take the long perspective, say 100 years from now, people will look at this period in which we're living now and say, wow, that was an incredibly fertile period of human exploration and technical development. I think it's really important to resurrect and to keep alive the knowledge from previous generations of computing.
The machine turned out to be in good working conditions, in excellent order. We have to be very careful working on these machines to avoid damaging them just by handling them.
Well, as usual, when you start fiddling with these machines, there's excitement involved, also due to the value of the machine itself. And anyway, these are machines where if a component breaks down, you can't just go out and buy a replacement.
The purpose of the lab is to promote this kind of cultural activity aimed at restoring and bringing back to life all the machines that have irreversibly changed the way we think, communicate, and live.
Unless we take affirmative, positive steps to preserve this knowledge, it will disappear. And so it makes efforts like restoring these Apple-1s and recovering old software incredibly important, not just to the history of computing, but for all of humanity. When I saw 4 Apple-1s in the 8-bit laboratory of the Temporary Museum, I was blown away.
of 4 Apple-1s being in the same place. I think that's pretty fantastic.